Deep Threat Sports Network fans, welcome back. Tonight it is Bryant and myself, and we are going to come at you and give you the semifinal preview of Oregon, Indiana, Miami, Ole Miss. Lots to talk about in these two games. Then we're going to roll right into our Book It segment. It's 95 and 97 on the year. It's a lot of games bet, and we're right there, and we're going to get it over the hump this week and get to a positive outcome, Bryant. And like I said, tonight it's just Bryant and myself. Probably not going to be a long episode here. We're going to keep it fairly brief and just keep it focused on these two football games. Nothing with the portal, nothing with any coaching situations going on. We're going to keep it right here, just football talk. Bryant, how you doing, buddy?
Doing great. We're really excited to watch these matchups. Starts tomorrow for everybody that doesn't know, and then on to Friday for the second game. Love to talk about these matchups this week. It's going to be obviously they're the tightest we've seen thus far in the playoffs, but a lot to talk about on all four sides for each one of these teams.
Absolutely. Hey, let's just roll right into it then, Bryant. What do you say, man? Let's focus on the first game first. That is the Fiesta Bowl, and that is Thursday the 8th, which is tomorrow night. Don't miss it. It's a Thursday game, so it's going to be a little wild to see another game on a Thursday. 6:30 p.m. on ESPN. Miami minus 3.5. Over, under 51.5. Bryant, what are we looking for in this football game?
I think this game comes down to the line of scrimmage. Obviously, I think we know Miami's has the advantage there for sure. But Ole Miss held up pretty well against a surging Georgia team. It allowed Chambliss, he did have to make some plays with his legs, but they held up pretty well for the most part in that game. And obviously, it turned out well for them getting the win. But if Miami looks anything like they did in their last contest, it's really going to be a very tough game, I think, for Ole Miss. This is by far the best defense they've played.
Yes.
On the flip side, I think Ole Miss defense kind of played outside the expectation last week against Georgia as well. They did give up 32 points or whatever it was, but I expected Georgia to do a little bit better and more consistent on offense, and they really didn't. So Ole Miss is going to have to come out and play. I think Kawan Lacey and Chambliss are healthy in this game, so that is completely healthy. Maybe not 100%, but better than they were last game. But it's going to be those two guys again, and a few whoever steps up, whether it's Wallace or Stribling or Caden Lee, whoever on that offense. It's going to be carried by a few guys, I think, similar to the last game. But I think Miami, if they do they play the game that they usually do, which we've seen in the playoffs, no turnovers for Carson Beck, finally getting a run game going, and then leading on that front seven on the defense side of the ball, I think it'll bode well for them.
Yeah, one of the big things for me, Brian, is this is the first game the Ole Miss coaching staff doesn't have a rematch. And when I say the coaching staff, I mean this new look coaching staff. All the games they've played so far, that they've been the head coach for Pete Golding without Lane Kiffin, they've played rematch games. So this is a fresh matchup for them where they don't have prior game footage to go off of in the games that they played and the games that they were a part of. So kind of how does that look for the Ole Miss team moving forward as well? Are they able to answer the bell in such a big-time game? Don't get me wrong, I think Golding's a great coach, but this could be a different look for them. And to stay on the Ole Miss offense, I agree with everything you said. It's going to be Kawan Lacey a lot, but that defense for Miami is going to be ferocious. The big thing, too, is Chambliss is obviously very lethal when the play breaks down. We saw it against Georgia. We saw him get out of the pocket, extend the play, avoid the pass rush. I don't know if he's going to have that much luck against this Miami front, Brian, and I don't really think Miami's going to have to bring 7 guys, 5 guys, 6 guys, whatever to do it. I think they're going to be able to get home with just their front 4. They have 12 sacks so far through the playoffs, this Miami defense does. That's incredible. I mean, that's unbelievable stuff from this Miami defense. So it makes it a little bit harder on that Ole Miss rushing attack and on Trinidad Chambliss. And I also don't think that Trinidad Chambliss is as good if you keep him in the pocket, keep him upright, where he has to pick apart your defense from the pocket per se. So I really do like what this Miami defense is going to bring in this football game. We've talked all year long about how they dominate the trenches, how they're very, very good, and I think we're going to see a lot of the same stuff here. Now, on the flip side, with this Miami offense, I think we're going to have to see more out of them. I don't think we've seen enough in the playoffs per se compared to what they were doing in the regular season. Ole Miss, I think, for me, Bryant, is going to have to bring way more than just their 4 guys up front. They're going to have to bring 5, 6 guys, do some stunts on defense, make it a little bit confusing for this offensive line because the Miami offensive line is very, very good. And let's be honest, too, though. Carson Beck has actually been really good against the blitz, completing over 70% of his passes. So he's really good against the blitz. So I don't really know what the point margin is going to be for a team to win this football game, in my opinion. Like, part of me says, okay, there's a world where it slows down, but I think if it slows down, I think Miami could get toasted. Even though I talked about how good that defense is, and so did you.
Mm-hmm.
I think Miami's just going to have to score with them and outscore them and trust their defense to limit them a little bit.
Oh, absolutely. It seems like it kind of falls right into Miami's hand with this matchup, with the trenches on defense and offense. So I'm intrigued how they handle it on the defensive side of the ball, with kind of adjusting from what Gunnar Stockton was last week, or not, excuse me, saying last week. Whereas Tambos is a lot better of a mobile guy. So saying they would just bring the blitz or get pressure, and he wasn't really scrambling as much and making plays, whereas it's going to be the total opposite this time. So I'm intrigued to see how they handle that, and Chambliss being so lethal outside of the pocket, whether it's taking off and running or even throwing the ball. So, it seems like it's playing right into Miami's hand, but I expect Ole Miss to definitely throw in some wrinkles. I think they're going to have to do some misdirection type stuff on offense to get the eyes in the wrong spot from the Miami linebackers and linemen, to be able to move the sticks and make some bigger plays. But this is a very intriguing matchup because, like I mentioned, it seems like it plays a little bit into Miami's hand, but there's also some advantages that Ole Miss could take there too.
Well, you know what the answer is for a really good defense, and that's a mobile quarterback. And that's what, back to your point, that's what Trinidad is, man. He's a mobile guy that extends these plays, and he don't get that nickname for nothing. I mean, it's just what it is. But we talked about a second ago, with this Ole Miss defense that was, besides the G5 teams, pretty far and away the worst defense in the playoffs, Brian. I think we all know that. They're going to have to bring more, like we said. And with that, they're going to have to man up on these Miami receivers. So, and I think
they're on some islands on the outside.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, CJ Daniels is really good, but that is where Malachi Toney might thrive if he's manned up on. Whether you get the ball at the line of scrimmage with him or if you're trying to bust one over the top with him, he's incredible. So Ole Miss is going to have to limit these explosive plays. Carson Beck, the recipe for them, obviously, too, has been when he takes care of the ball, they win football games. We dwell on that. That's another one of those moments in this football game. Let me ask it to you like this. Mario has yet to make that fatal error mistake when it comes to –
I knew we were going to talk about this.
We have to, right? I mean, he's done it way too much for us to not talk about it. Is this where it finally shows up, Brian? Is this where it finally comes to light in the playoffs? Because he's been a fantastic coach thus far.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's valid to talk about, like you said, like we've done all year. I could see it coming to head somewhere late in the game where it's a questionable call or a bad timeout or no timeout, something like that, or maybe go for it on fourth down and don't get it, and then Ole Miss has a chance to take the lead late. Something like along those lines. It seems like that's the mistake that Cristobal always makes, is either time management or timeout management, or just calling the wrong play at the wrong time, as far as like going for it or, being too being not aggressive enough.
Yeah, he's too passive. He never goes for it when I feel like they need to.
Yeah, and then he goes for it when they definitely shouldn't. It's like he does the opposite. It's like he doesn't know what to do in those situations.
No.
I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. The last two games, we talked about this twice already now in the playoffs. This will be the third time. He hasn't done it yet, and they've been some tight games, and there's been some close, plays where he had to make some decisions on the fly and seemed to make the right calls. So I definitely could see it happening, but, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt and think maybe he's past that type of bad coaching decision.
Yeah, I think he's learned from it. And I said that on the review episode on Monday night. I feel like he's learned from some of these mistakes. I feel like he's kind of getting over the hump himself. So I'm going to ride with that a little bit and trust the process.
Also, I think he's leaning on Carson Beck a little bit too. I think he has a lot more reign than maybe another quarterback would have in this offense. I think he's able to kind of maybe audible or change something to what he sees better because he's on the field, whereas Cristobal's on the sideline. So I think that plays a part too.
Absolutely. And Beck's an experienced guy, so he should be able to do that. Last couple things for me on this game is I think for a little bit we're going to see two different paced offenses. I think we're going to see Ole Miss try to run some tempo and wear down that Miami defense, and I think they're going to hope that it works. That way it does wear them down. Now, on the flip side of this, if it doesn't work, you're losing a lot of confidence very quickly and building up a lot of confidence in the Miami defense, and you could force yourself to really quick 3-and-outs. But I think Ole Miss needs to try to extend the drives, be quick with it, and wear that Miami defense down. On the other side of the coin, I think you're going to see Miami with some slow, long, methodical drives, limiting Ole Miss possessions, relying on Fletcher, who's been an absolute workhorse for them in the playoffs. And I think that might be the route you see Miami go. Ole Miss back to Ole Miss too, though. When Miami does shut this run game down for a little bit, because I'm pretty confident they will for a little bit, Ole Miss cannot get away from it. They rely too heavy on Quan Lacey. You see some of these teams, and that's where the Pete Golding question comes into play. If the run game, which they rely pretty heavily on, goes south quickly, does he panic and get away from it? And then the next thing you know, they're throwing the ball 40 times, 45 times. I don't think that's a recipe to beat Miami, Bryant.
I think you hit the nail on the head with that. And also with the possession game. This is a possession game Miami is going to succeed, I think, because that just plays right into their MO on both sides of the ball. And then it also makes Ole Miss have to throw the ball to try to come back and make it a closer game. But yeah, I'm right there with you. Ole Miss needs this to be a shootout, and Miami needs this to be the other way around.
Yep, absolutely. Anything else on this game? I feel like we covered it pretty well.
No.
All right, buddy. The next game that we're going to talk about here is the Peach Bowl. That's Friday at 6:30 p.m. on ESPN. Oregon versus Indiana. Indiana minus 3.5. This line's kind of bouncing 3.5, 4, 4.5, 3. Over under 46.5. Bryant, what are we looking for here?
It's just can Indiana continue the quality play that they're doing? I honestly don't think this is the best team they played all season. I think that's been Ohio State. I think Ohio State's better than Oregon, even though they're not in the playoff anymore. But if Indiana continues to play the game like they'd have all season, especially how they played last week against Alabama, whether it's on offense, just running the ball consistently, making all the right play action calls, and Mendoza was making all the right throws, it seemed like. And then on the defensive side of the ball, fitting the gaps very well. I just don't see a chance here for Oregon to come out on top because, they beat Texas Tech 23-0, but we talked about it in the review show. I don't think they played all that well, nor did they really have to. Yeah. They're still struggling a little bit on the lines. They're still injured there. The offense is the better part of their team, but they really did not do that well. Granted, Texas Tech's defense is really good. I think it is better than Indiana's, but they're going to have to pull a rabbit out of the hat here, I think, and play an A-plus game to win this football game, I think.
You know what I think's the biggest news of the week for this game is Jordan Davison's out for Oregon, the running back in this football game.
Yeah.
That's huge, man. He's their –
broken some with his shoulder.
Yeah.
Landing on it wrong.
Yeah, and it's kind of crazy how they just came up out of like thin air, I felt like. Like he is their goal line back. He gets the ball in big-time plays. He's been an absolute unit for them. Had a great week this last game against Texas Tech. So I feel like that's a really big situation in that running back room that they've relied so heavily on, just as heavy as anybody else in the country, it feels like, has gotten pretty thin. They had a guy enter the portal, Davison being hurt. Like it's the base of their offense is starting to have a little bit of questions. I think they're going to be okay, but I think you're going to see a lot of Whittington in this football game. And obviously he's a stud too. But if
he's a tough back, so I think he's going to be able to sustain, 20-plus carries.
Yeah.
But still, you're a valid point.
I mean, and if they can't run it in this game like they couldn't in the Texas Tech game, I think they're in big trouble, Bryant. I think that if they cannot run the ball, I think that melts everything that they try to do offensively.
Yeah, and that plays right into Indiana's strength on defense, which is their back 4-5 guys, because they can play on an island. They know how to adjust coverages to bracket somebody if they need to. They can basically do it all on the defensive side in the secondary. And if Oregon's going to have to throw the ball 40-plus times, it's going to play right into that. Yeah, they might break one, but if that's the game plan, Indiana's probably going to have a sizable advantage in the score, because I don't think Oregon's going to be able to do that all game, and Indiana's going to have some opportunities to get ahead. And so, yeah, they're going to have to find some ways to run the ball. And personally, I don't think we've seen a whole lot of Dante Moore getting out of the pocket and maybe run a little bit. that might be a way to also kind of break open and not have to just turn around and hand it off if you want to run the ball. So look for that too from them. Oregon's going to try to find, and they will. I know they will. They're going to find ways to move the ball, but it's going to be how can they adjust to these injuries that they're having at the running back position, and try to be competitive on offense.
Yeah, this is a battle of two great quarterbacks, a battle of two great coaches, a battle of two really complete teams. I went back and watched a lot of film on the last football game. Obviously, it was a 10-point victory by Indiana. In that football game, Indiana forced those 2 turnovers. They got home with 6 sacks. When I was watching it, I realized again that Mendoza might have played arguably his worst game of the season. Like there's a case to be made that he played his worst game against Oregon the first time, and they still won by 10. He threw a pick 6, and they still won by 10. So I'm asking myself, because obviously if you've been watching our show and you've been following this network and you've been listening to Nolan, Bryant, Dave, and myself, I have been a real big critic of Indiana for the whole season, saying I just don't know if they got it. They got to prove it to me. And here I am making a case that I think they handle this football game, and I hope it doesn't blow up in my face, because, I mean, that would be justice for me to get on them one time and then for them to blow up in my face. But I just don't know how they don't dominate this football game even more based on what I watched the last time.
Yeah, they're much better on the line of scrimmage, and they're far and away, I think, better defense as well. And that bodes well in this type of matchup in a playoff game. If you have that advantage in those 2 spots, you're going to win 75, 80% of the time, it seems like.
Yeah, Indiana bullied Oregon on the lines of scrimmage the last game. I mean, it was a hell of a performance. So I'm trying to find a way for Oregon to win this. I think you're going to have to see Dante Moore be the guy that everybody keeps talking about Dante Moore being, and arguably the number 1 pick. It's going to have to be a lights out Super Bowl MVP NFL type performance from Dante Moore, I think, for them to win this football game. Oregon's defense is also really going to have to throttle back that Indiana rushing attack, because when Indiana gets 2-dimensional and gets the rushing game going, their opponents in deep time shit, because Indiana's receivers, they have 3 receivers that can go bang with anybody in the country.
I mean, let me ask you this. Where do you see a not sizable, a pretty good advantage for Oregon in this game?
I don't. Flip a coin.
Defensive end, maybe.
Yeah, because let's not forget Indiana's arguably their best pass rusher and defensive line guy
is
hurt and not going to play this game.
Yeah, so I think I would give Oregon's defensive front that D-line. Every other spot. I mean, running back I'd give to Indiana. I think Mendoza is better slightly on the lines of scrimmage. On offense, I think is Indiana. Receivers, we can
give receivers to Oregon if to Corey and Moore and you lump in Kenyon Sadiq. If you lump those in, maybe that.
I mean, Surratt, Cooper, and Charlie are freaking good too. So that's what I'm saying.
And Indiana,
like there's more chips on Indiana's side than there is Oregon.
Yeah, Indiana's secondary is legit. They're, like I said in the review, they're ball hawks. They put their hat on the ball. They're not afraid to knock your ass down. Like, they're physical, and Cignetti's coached them to be that way.
And a lot of people are like, "Man, Indiana's never been here. They don't have any experience. Like this is just a Cinderella story." Well, a lot of these guys played on other teams that played in the playoffs. They played in the playoffs last year. They've won a lot of big games this year, so they have more experience than what you think they do. And they're all like seniors or grad guys, so they played a ton of football. They know what to be prepared for. So I think that's the whole narrative can kind of be put to bed too.
Yeah, I have in my notes here that Indiana's an old and experienced team, and I think that benefits them. Mm-hmm. Both these teams, if you take the guys that are on these teams that were on these teams from last year, both these teams played 1 playoff game.
Yeah.
Both lost. Kind of the same experience, if you ask me. Both these coaches have now won playoff games, have realized what it takes to win playoff games. They've both been on the losing side of playoff games. They know what it takes to not lose playoff games. So I don't really dig too deep for me into that one. I'm a big proponent that Oregon's going to have to come out and punch Indiana in the mouth early and knock them on their heels and let them know that, hey, they're here to win a football game. They know what it takes. They don't want to lose to them twice this season. It is hard to beat a team twice. There's that narrative as well for Oregon. But Indiana might just build off what they did last time to beat Oregon and mix in some more things offensively to confuse them as well. Oregon's obviously going to learn from those mistakes. You can't count on Mendoza to throw another pick six to get you some points if you're Oregon's defense. Probably not going to happen. I also don't love what I've seen from Dante Moore taking care of the football throughout the playoffs either. So it's going to be a great football game. We are fortunate to have two really good football games, I think. A believer that I don't think either one of them is going to be a blowout. I think they're going to be entertaining, close games, and fun to watch.
Absolutely. Oregon's going to have to do what Alabama tried. They got close in their first two drives, but could not come up with serious points. And, if Oregon starts out this game 10-0, I think they got every shot in the world to win this football game. But if Indiana starts 10-0, I think the nail might be 75% into the coffin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if I'm Oregon, I'm definitely wanting to go down the field and score first. No doubt. Jordan comes in here and says, Indiana belt to ass. Leon comes in here, talks about let's go Canes. He's always in here talking about the Canes. So go Canes for Leon. He also likes Ole Miss, he said. Mizzou money line live from Jordan. I like that. Mizzou is playing, and Bryant and I are going to be tuning into that once we get off this episode. So thanks for the Mizzou live money line.
Let's talk about the Book It segment first.
Let's get to the Book It segment here. Once we get to this Book It segment, this is truly all we have. We told you guys it was going to be short, 2 games, and we want to keep it focused only on these games, nothing else. But, hey, let's get to our Book It segment here. And we have, what is it, Brian? We got 8 plays for them this week. We're 95 and 97. We shopped the books. We're buying hooks. We're doing everything we can to make sure we get back above 500. We're scratching and clawing, buddy. It's time to turn the page.
Yeah, and if we do it bad, we let Nolan have a little bit of input in this beast pick. So if we do bad, we'll blame it on him. So it's a win-win from our side.
It is. If we do great, Nolan, thanks. If we do bad, Nolan, you're out.
What the hell?
You're out. So, all right, Brian, go ahead and give us the first one here, buddy.
First game we got is the Miami game. We have the Miami Ole Miss game under 53 points. We kind of talked about it a little bit. Think Miami will hopefully probably control this game if they play like they can, and that bodes well for the under. So we're taking the under in this game. Book it.
We're going to stay right there, and we're going to keep a similar play. We're going to double dip here. Miami, Ole Miss, first half under 27.5. Like where that line's at. Like when it was earlier in the week, it was 28.5. We should have hopped on it then because then that gives you that 4 touchdown cushion. Still like it at 27.5. I think Miami limits possessions. I think they can get home with the pass rush against Ole Miss like we talked about earlier. Miami, Ole Miss, first half, under 27.5. Book it.
Staying with this game, we got Miami, first half, money line. In this game, Ole Miss, it seems like a second half team as of late, especially in the playoff games. So I think that's just a good play. We're going to take Miami to be winning at the half. Book it.
Hey, we're all in on Miami. We're all in on Miami for Leon in the chat every week talking about his Canes. Give us Miami -3. We're going to lay them right there for the full game. Everything we talked about earlier. I just think the lines of scrimmage, man, it's how Miami got here. They snuck in, and we had conversation that their lines of scrimmage could take them a really long way. We had that conversation many a times. Miami -3. Book it.
And just a side note, it seems like a lot of the public is on Ole Miss's side in this game, just from what they saw last week. So tends to favor picks like these. So hopefully that holds true. Let's kind of bounce to our prop plays we've been kind of running with in the playoffs here. We got, staying in this game, we got Malachi Toney over 50 receiving yards. Could easily see this hitting on one play. So Malachi Toney is going to be heavily involved like we said he needs to be. So we're taking him to hit over 50 receiving yards.
Oh, yeah. Toney, to your point, could get this on one play for sure. Look for him to get lots of catches at the lines of scrimmage. Big screen guy. Look for him to get that quick QB touch pass to him coming around on the end around and getting out in space. Talked earlier, too, that Ole Miss is really going to have to man up because they're going to have to bring more guys to get home on this Miami offensive line and to get the Beck. So I love that it frees up Malachi Toney a lot of the times, and it allows him to have one-on-one coverage, and he is an absolute burner. Talked many a times how he's the next Tyreek Hill. Love Malachi Toney. If you follow this network, we are always on Malachi Toney anything. So love that play, Brian. And the prop plays have been very good for us here as of late. The next bucket play we have for you is Indiana, Oregon. We're actually going to take the over 46 in this football game. We think that both these teams can get out and move the ball a little bit based off what they've learned off each other. I love what I see from both these teams getting in this football game. Oregon's going to have to score points and be more aggressive than what they were against Texas Tech. And I know they went for a ton of fourth downs, but they're just going to have to call this game a little bit differently. And Indiana, at any point in time, Brian, even if Indiana's up 30, they're not taking their foot off the gas. Indiana, Oregon, over 46. Book it.
Yeah, love that play. We're going to stick right here with this game with our second prop play. We're taking Kenyon Sadiq over 3.5 receptions. Obviously, I think he has to be heavily involved with this game. They're going to be passing the ball a bunch. If they can't run, he's going to be a focal point. I think this is a great play. Could easily see him have close to double-digit targets and multiple receptions. So Kenyon Sadiq over 3.5 receptions. Book it.
Hey, he's that security blanket, too, for Dante Moore. We took Kenyon Sadiq last week, too, Brian, at 4.5, right? And he had like 3 in the first half and only caught one more the rest of the game and missed it by a half, right?
Yeah. Yep.
We're coming back to old Kenyon Sadiq, baby, and Kenyon Sadiq we trust. Last bucket play for you we have in the semifinals is another prop play as well. Think this line's just way too small. I think there's only been 2 games all season Omar Cooper hasn't hit the over on this, and it's Omar Cooper over 39.5 receiving yards. This is a one-play type bet as well. He could definitely get over this on one play. Also, he is a guy that when the play breaks down, Mendoza does look his way. He makes big-time catches, and I think he could easily get over 39.5 receiving yards, and we're looking to play the over as well. So kind of goes hand in hand. Omar Cooper, over 39.5 receiving yards, book it. Brian, anything else from you on this episode at all? And Jordan comes in here. Omar Cooper, over 39.5. Love that. Yes, so do we, Jordan. And no one got in here as well. I don't know if you saw it and threw out the book it for us.
Love it. I just took a little peek at the old DraftKings, and the only play that we're not fading the public on is Indiana, Oregon over 46. So obviously the public's not going to win or lose every bet, but it tends to be the kind of the way it leans to. So love these plays. Heavy on the Miami game, so we obviously will be tuning into both of them, but a little bit more emphasis on that one.
Well, hey, and you know that we weren't just going to come in here and have like 2 plays. We're going to play some props. We're gonna dip all over the game that we really like, and obviously Miami is heavy. There's a real chance, Brian, I guess if Ole Miss comes out and lights things up in the first half, we're dead on all 4 of these. But hey, that's just the ship we're riding with, and that's just how we're going to roll.
Yeah, man, we talked about it, and Nolan talked us out of it. The play with Indiana minus 3.5. I just checked, 79% of the cash is on that play. So that's a lot of moolah.
Makes me like it even more.
Yeah. So I don't know. Colin and I kind of talked last week a little bit. You know, once these games got really close to kicking off, you saw massive swings.
Yeah.
In spreads and over-unders. So pay attention to that. You might have to maybe wait towards the end a little bit on some of these if you think it might be the other direction and play off of that. So pay attention until up to kickoff on some of these as well.
My recommendation, though, for the props is to go get them while you can, because props
get those right now.
Yeah, the props tend to never get bet down. The props usually tend to get bet up. People usually bet over on receptions, over on receiving yards. They're usually hardly ever betting under. So if you like the props, go get them while you can. The lines, yes, they're going to swing. Hell, we saw a game swing 2.5 points 13 minutes before game time last week. So these are going to move. I love what Jordan says here. We always talk about this. Hell, Bryant, Jordan, and me are in a group text together, and we've had plenty of bets where it looks bad early, and we're all saying never panic, don't panic. It's going to straighten itself out. And sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. But you're right, Jordan. Scared money don't make money. Never panic, baby. That's how we rock here. Hey, shopping books, buying hooks. That's the Book It segment from Bryant and myself. Bryant, anything else before we get out of here?
No, sirree.
All right, man. Hey, everybody out there, thanks for rocking with us. Look forward to great semifinal football games. Don't forget, they're not Saturday. NFL is going to take over those time slots from moving forward. So it's going to be Thursday and Friday, which would be tomorrow and the next day. Get your eyes on the screen. Make sure you're where you want to be. Have a good meal, have a cold brew, and enjoy some football games. Hey, Brian, you can follow us on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, Deep Threat Sports, XDT_sports_, Facebook, Deep Threat Sports Network. Everybody out there, be safe, have fun, enjoy football. That's Brian. I'm Colin. Until next time, peace.